There's a man following me. She leaned across the table, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes locked on mine with the kind of fear you can't fake. He's sitting right there. Please don't let me leave alone. I'd only known her for 20 minutes. This was supposed to be a blind date my sister set up, the kind I never wanted to go on in the first place. But when she glanced over her shoulder, hands trembling around her coffee cup, I knew something was very wrong. I didn't ask questions. I just nodded. We'll leave together, I said. I won't let anything happen to you. I had no idea that promise would change everything, that this stranger sitting across from me, this woman I'd agreed to meet just to get my sister off my back, would become the reason I finally understood what it meant to be needed, what it meant to matter. But to understand why she trusted me that day, a complete stranger, I need to take you back a few weeks, back to when my life was quiet, predictable, and completely alone. My alarm went off at 5:30 a.m., same as always. I didn't need it anymore. My body had learned the rhythm years ago. I'd wake up, stare at the ceiling for a minute, then swing my legs out of bed and start the day. The house was quiet. It was always quiet. I'm a HVAC technician. Heating, ventilation, air conditioning. Basically, I'm the guy you call when your AC dies in the middle of summer or your furnace gives out in January. It's decent work, steady. I've been doing it for almost 8 years now, ever since I came back to this town. I grew up here. Small place, about 15,000 people. The kind of town where everyone knows everyone, or at least knows of them. I left after high school, went to community college 2 hours away, studied engineering technology. I thought I'd end up somewhere bigger, somewhere that mattered. But then my dad got sick. Cancer, aggressive. My mom had already passed when I was 19. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. So when Dad got diagnosed, I came home. My sister Emma was already married by then, living across town with her husband. Someone had to be there. I took care of him for 11 months, watched him shrink, watched the man who taught me how to fix engines and frame a wall turn into someone who couldn't lift a glass of water. He died on a Tuesday morning in March. I was holding his hand. After the funeral, I just stayed. There wasn't a reason to leave anymore. I took over the house, kept working with the HVAC company I'd joined to make ends meet while Dad was sick, and the months turned into years. Emma stayed close. She'd invite me over for dinner, try to set me up with her friends, ask if I was okay. I always said I was fine, and I was, mostly. I had work, I had routines, mornings were simple, coffee, toast, sometimes eggs if I felt like it. I'd pack my lunch, usually a sandwich and an apple, grab my tool bag and head out. The company gave me a truck with the logo on the side. I'd check the schedule on my phone, see which jobs were assigned to me for the day and start driving. Most days I worked alone. I'd show up at someone's house, diagnose the problem, fix it, make small talk if they wanted, then move on to the next job. I didn't mind the solitude. It gave me time to think, or not think. Sometimes I'd work an entire day and realize I hadn't said more than 50 words total. The work itself was satisfying in a way that's hard to explain. There's something honest about fixing things. A unit isn't cooling properly. You check the refrigerant levels, clean the coils, replace a faulty compressor. Cause and effect. Problem and solution. It made sense in a way that most things in life didn't. I'd usually finish around 4 or 5, depending on the jobs. Drive home, park the truck in the driveway, walk into the empty house. The silence would hit me every time, but I'd gotten used to it. I'd make dinner, nothing fancy, usually chicken or pasta, whatever was easy, and eat in front of the TV. Sometimes I'd watch sports, sometimes just whatever was on, whatever was. Weekends were harder. During the week I had structure, but Saturdays and Sundays stretched out long and shapeless. I'd do chores, laundry, mowing the lawn, fixing things around the house that didn't really need fixing. Sometimes Emma would drag me to a barbecue or a birthday party. I'd go, stay for an hour or two, then make an excuse and leave. I tried dating apps once, lasted about 3 weeks. I'm not good at the small talk, the messaging back and forth, the whole performance of it. And honestly, I don't photograph well. In every picture I looked tired or uncomfortable or both. I got a few matches, went on 2 actual dates. Both were polite, but awkward. Neither led anywhere. After that, I deleted the apps and accepted that maybe I was just better off alone. It wasn't that I was unhappy. I wasn't sitting around feeling sorry for myself or anything. I'd just reached a kind of equilibrium, This was my life. Work, home, routine, repeat. And if it wasn't exciting, at least it was manageable. I didn't expect that to change. 3 years had passed since Dad died. 3 years of the same schedule, the same quiet house, the same comfortable loneliness. I'd convinced myself this was enough, that wanting more was just setting yourself up for disappointment. Then, one Thursday evening, my phone rang. Emma. Hey, I said, wedging the phone between my shoulder and ear while I stirred pasta on the stove. Don't say no right away, she said. I sighed. What? I have a friend. Well, a coworker. She just moved here a few months ago, doesn't really know anyone yet. She's nice, really nice. I think you'd like her. Emma, just coffee. 1 hour, that's all I'm asking. I'm not good at this stuff. You're fine at this stuff, you just don't try. I closed my eyes. The pasta water was boiling over. I don't know. She's going through a hard time, Emma said, her voice softening. She could use a friend. And honestly, so could you. That last part stung a little, even though she wasn't wrong. 1 hour, Emma pressed. Saturday afternoon, that cafe downtown, the one with the good coffee. If it's awful, you never have to do it again. I promise. I turned off the stove, moved the pot to a cold burner. Fine. Really? 1 hour. Thank you, I'll text you the details. You won't regret this. I already regretted it. Saturday came. I spent the morning doing work around the house, trying not to think about the afternoon. I changed my shirt twice, then felt ridiculous for caring. It was just coffee. Just an hour. I could survive an hour. I got to the cafe 10 minutes early and sat in my truck debating whether to go in or just drive away and tell Emma it didn't work out. But I knew she'd see right through that. So I took a breath, got out, and walked inside. The place was busy, weekend crowd, people on laptops, families with kids. I scanned the room and spotted her right away, sitting at a small table near the window. Emma had shown me a picture, but it didn't really do her justice. She had dark hair pulled back, wearing a cream-colored sweater. She looked up when I walked in, gave a small wave. I walked over. Hi, I know, she said, standing, shaking my hand. Her grip was firm, strong. Emma talks about you a lot. Good things, I hope. Mostly. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. We sat down. I ordered a black coffee. She already had tea. The conversation started slow, polite. Where are you from? What do you do? The usual stuff. But the whole time I could tell she was distracted. She kept glancing toward the door, toward the other tables. Her hands stayed wrapped around her mug like she was trying to keep them from shaking. I thought maybe she just didn't want to be here, that Emma had pressured her into this the same way she'd pressured me. But then about 20 minutes in, she leaned forward. Her voice dropped. There's a man following me. Before I tell you what happened next, do me a favor. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from. I love hearing from you all. And if you're finding this worthwhile, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps me keep bringing you these stories. Now let me tell you what changed everything. I froze. For a second I thought I'd misheard her. What? There's a man following me, she repeated, quieter this time. Her eyes flicked to the corner of the cafe. He's sitting over there, the one in the dark jacket looking at his phone. I forced myself not to turn around immediately. Instead, I picked up my coffee, took a slow sip, and glanced casually over my shoulder like I was just looking around the room. He was there, mid-40s maybe, clean-cut, wearing a nice jacket and jeans. He had his phone out, but his eyes weren't on the screen. They were on us. The moment I looked his direction, he shifted, pretended to scroll. I turned back to her. Her face was pale, her jaw tight. Who is he? My ex-boyfriend. Her voice cracked slightly. His name is Derek. We broke up 8 months ago. I moved here to get away from him. I have a restraining order, but he doesn't care. He found me. My chest tightened. Have you called the police? I did. Last week, when I first saw him outside my work. They said unless he actually approaches me or threatens me, there's not much they can do. The restraining order says he has to stay 100 yards away, but he's always just far enough that he's technically not violating it. Her hands were trembling now. He knows what he's doing. He's done this before. I looked at her, really looked at her. This wasn't dramatics. This wasn't someone looking for attention. This was genuine fear, the kind that settles into your bones and doesn't leave. Okay, I said. What do you need? She blinked, surprised. What do you need me to do? Her eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. I can't leave alone. If he follows me to my car, if he corners me in the parking lot." She stopped, swallowed hard. "I know this is insane. I know we just met, but I didn't know who else to ask. Emma said you were. She said you were a good person." I set my coffee down and leaned forward. "You don't have to explain. We're going to leave together. I'll walk you to your car. I won't let him anywhere near you." Her shoulders sagged with relief. "Thank you, I'm so sorry." "Don't apologize, you did the right thing." She nodded, wiping quickly at her eyes. Okay. I glanced back toward the corner. Derek was still there, still pretending not to watch. My jaw clenched. I didn't like this guy. Not one bit. "Where's your car?" I asked. "Across the street, the public lot." "All right, we'll finish our drinks, take our time. Then we'll walk out together, nice and calm. You're going to walk right next to me the whole time. If he tries to approach, I'll handle it. What if he follows us?" "Then we don't go to your car. We go straight to the police station. It's 2 blocks from here." She took a shaky breath. "Okay." We sat there for another few minutes, pretending to talk normally. I kept my body angled so I could see Derek in my peripheral vision. He didn't move, didn't approach, just watched. Finally, I stood up. "Ready?" She nodded and stood too, slinging her purse over her shoulder. I walked slightly ahead of her, close enough that if he tried anything, he'd have to go through me first. We pushed through the door and stepped out into the cool afternoon air. The parking lot was across the street, past a small intersection. We waited for the light, crossed together. I could feel him behind us. Not close, but there, following. "Don't look back," I said quietly. "Just keep walking." Her car was a small sedan parked near the back of the lot. She fumbled with her keys, hands shaking too hard to get them in the lock. I gently took them from her, unlocked the door, and opened it for her. "Get in, lock the doors." She slid into the driver's seat. I handed her the keys, closed the door, and waited until I heard the locks click. Then I turned around. Derek was standing about 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, casual as anything. I walked toward him. Not aggressive, but purposeful. He straightened up, trying to look unbothered. "Can I help you?" I said, keeping my voice even. "Just getting some air," he said, shrugging. "Nice day." "Yeah, it is." I stopped a few feet from him, squared my shoulders. "You should probably head out, though. Find somewhere else to get air." His smile faded. "I'm not doing anything wrong." "Then you won't mind leaving." We stared at each other for a long moment. He was taller than me, but I didn't back down. Finally, he scoffed, shook his head, and turned away. "Whatever, man." He walked off toward the far end of the lot. I stayed where I was, watching until he got into a black SUV and drove off. Only then did I turn back to her car. She rolled down the window. Her eyes were red. "Is he gone?" "He's gone." She let out a breath she'd been holding, covered her face with her hands. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Stop apologizing." She looked up at me. "Thank you, really. I don't know what I would have done if—" "You would have been fine," I said. "But you don't have to handle this alone. Do you have my number?" She shook her head. "Give me your phone." She handed it through the window. I typed in my number, called myself so I'd have hers, then handed it back. "If he shows up again, you call me. Day or night. Doesn't matter. You call and I'll come. Understand?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Okay. Are you safe to drive home?" "Yeah, I think so. Text me when you get there, just so I know you made it." She nodded, wiping her face. "I will." I stepped back. She started the car, gave me one last look, grateful, exhausted, still scared, and pulled out of the lot. I watched until she turned the corner and disappeared. Then I got in my truck, sat there for a minute, and tried to process what the hell just happened. My phone buzzed 20 minutes later. "Home. Thank you again." I typed back, "Good. Lock your doors. Call if you need anything." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "Can I buy you coffee sometime?" A real one, to say thank you. I stared at the message. This wasn't what I'd expected, but something in my chest loosened just a little. "You don't owe me anything. But yeah, coffee sounds good." Her name was Sarah. I learned that over the next few days, through texts that started cautious and gradually became more frequent. She thanked me again. I told her again she didn't need to. She asked if I was free Saturday. I said yes. We met at a different café this time, one on the other side of town. She looked better, less pale, less haunted. She smiled when she saw me, a real smile this time. Hi. Hi. I sat down across from her. How've you been? Okay. Better. She wrapped her hands around her mug. I haven't seen him since Saturday. I don't know if he's actually gone or just being more careful, but either way, it's been quiet. That's good. Yeah. She paused. I wanted to explain. About all of that. About why I'm here, why he won't leave me alone. You don't have to. I want to. She took a breath. I moved here 3 months ago from Portland. I worked in marketing at a tech company. High-pressure job, long hours. Derek was a consultant at the same firm. We started dating about a year and a half ago. At first it was great. He was charming, attentive, but after a few months, things changed. She stared down at her coffee. I stayed quiet, let her take her time. He started checking my phone, asking where I was all the time, who I was talking to. At first I thought he was just anxious, that maybe he'd been hurt before, but it got worse. He'd show up at my apartment unannounced. Follow me to lunch. If I went out with friends, he'd call constantly, and if I didn't answer right away, he'd lose it. Accuse me of cheating, of lying. Her voice was steady, but I could see the tension in her jaw. I tried to break up with him 4 times. Each time he'd cry, apologize, promise to change, and I believed him, or I wanted to. But the last time, she stopped, closed her eyes. He pushed me, not hard enough to really hurt me, but hard enough that I fell, and I realized if I stayed, it was going to get worse. So you left. I quit my job, found a new one here. Didn't tell anyone where I was going except my boss and HR filed the restraining order. I thought I'd finally gotten away. She looked up at me. Then 2 weeks ago I saw him outside my office, just standing there, watching. I called the police, but by the time they got there he was gone. And like I said, they can't do much unless he actually does something. I felt anger rising in my chest. Not at her, at him. At how easy it was for guys like that to keep terrorizing someone even after they'd left. I'm sorry, I said. You shouldn't have to deal with this. No one should. She gave a sad smile. But here we are. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she shifted, straightened her shoulders like she was trying to shake off the weight of the story. Anyway, enough about me and my disaster of a life. Tell me about you. Emma says you fix air conditioners? I laughed a little. Yeah, heating and cooling systems, riveting stuff. I don't know. Sounds useful, especially in summer. It has its moments. We talked for an hour. About work, about the town, about nothing in particular. It was easy, comfortable. She asked about my family and I told her about my dad, about Emma, about how I'd ended up back here. She listened without pity, just quiet understanding. When we left, I walked her to her car again. She didn't ask me to. I just did. Thank you, she said, for listening, for not making me feel crazy. You're not crazy. I know, but it's nice to hear someone else say it. She texted me the next day, asked if I wanted to check out the farmer's market on Sunday. I said sure. We spent the morning wandering between stalls, buying vegetables and bread, talking about normal things. She bought fresh flowers and smiled the whole way back to her car. It became a pattern. Coffee during the week, walks on the weekend. She'd tell me about her new job. She was doing freelance marketing now, working from home mostly. I'd tell her about the weird houses I worked in, the broken systems, the clients who insisted they could fix it themselves before calling me in to fix their fixes. One afternoon, she called me while I was replacing a compressor in someone's basement. Hey, are you busy? Just working, what's up? She hesitated. I know this is stupid, but I heard something outside, like someone was at my door. And I'm probably just being paranoid, but I'll come over. You don't have to. I'm finishing up here in 10 minutes. I'll come over. Okay, thank you. When I got to her place, a small rental house on the east side of town, she was standing in the doorway, arms crossed. She looked embarrassed. I'm sorry. I checked the cameras and there's nothing. It was probably just a delivery or something. It's fine. I was done anyway. I looked around the yard. You got those cameras installed? Yeah, last week. Front door and back. Good. She invited me in. The house was small but cozy, decorated in soft colors with plants in the windows. It felt like her, quiet, careful, trying to build something safe. Do you want coffee? Sure. We sat in her kitchen. She seemed calmer now, a little sheepish. I hate this, she said quietly. I hate that I'm always waiting for him to show up, that I can't just relax in my own home. It's not going to be like this forever. How do you know? Because you're taking steps. Cameras, locks, the restraining order. You're not just sitting there waiting. You're fighting back. She looked at me, something shifting in her expression. You're really calm about all this. Most people would have run by now. I shrugged. I don't run easy. She smiled. I'm starting to notice that. A week later, she asked if I could help her install better locks on her doors. The ones that came with the house were cheap, flimsy. I came over on a Saturday morning with my tools and spent 3 hours upgrading every door and window latch in the place. She made lunch, sandwiches and soup, and we ate on her back porch. I don't know how to thank you for all this, she said. You don't have to. I do, though. You barely know me, and you've done more for me than most people I've known for years. I set my sandwich down. Everyone deserves to feel safe. That's not something you should have to earn or thank someone for. Her eyes got bright. She looked away quickly, wiping at them. Sorry, I'm not usually this emotional. It's fine. It's just, people always act like I should have seen it coming, that I should have left sooner, or they get uncomfortable and change the subject. But you just listen and help. And don't make me feel broken. You're not broken. She laughed softly. Sometimes I feel like I am. You're healing. That's different. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Thank you. I squeezed back. Anytime. After that, the distance between us started to shrink. She'd call just to talk. I'd stop by after work sometimes just to check in. We'd have dinner together, nothing fancy, just whatever was easy. Pasta, grilled chicken, takeout pizza. We'd sit on her couch and watch old movies or sit in silence and just be there. One night, about a month after we'd first met, she fell asleep on my shoulder. I didn't move. I just sat there, feeling the weight of her head against me, the slow rise and fall of her breathing. It felt like the most important thing I'd done all day, maybe all year, just being still, being steady. When she woke up an hour later, she blinked up at me, disoriented. Sorry, I didn't mean to. It's fine. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. What time is it? Almost 10. You should have woken me up. You needed the sleep. She looked at me, something soft in her expression. You're a good person, you know that? I'm just doing what anyone should do. No, she said quietly. Most people wouldn't. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just gave her hand a quick squeeze and stood up. I should head out, but text me if you need anything. I will. At the door, she stopped me. Hey, can I ask you something? Sure. Why are you doing this? Really? I thought about it. About the empty house I'd go home to. About the years I'd spent just going through the motions. About how, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I mattered. Because you asked, I said. And because I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines of my own life. She smiled. Me too. The weeks blurred together. We settled into a rhythm. Something that felt less like dating, and more like two people rebuilding themselves side by side. She'd tell me when she had bad days, when the nightmares came back, when she felt herself slipping into old patterns of fear. I'd listen. I'd remind her she was safe. And when I had my own rough days, the anniversaries of my parents' deaths, the long stretches of loneliness I'd learned to ignore, she'd sit with me and not try to fix it. Just be there. One Saturday, we drove out to the state park, hiked a trail that wound up through the hills. The trees were starting to turn, gold and red against the bright sky. We didn't talk much, just walked. At the top, we sat on a rock overlooking the valley. I forgot how much I missed this, she said. Just being outside, being still. Yeah, she turned to me. I'm glad I met you. I know the circumstances were awful, but I'm glad it was you that day. I'm glad too. She leaned her head on my shoulder again, and I put my arm around her. We sat like that for a long time, watching the wind move through the trees below. I'm starting to feel like myself again, she said quietly, for the first time in years. Good. It scares me a little. Why? Because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to go back to being afraid all the time. I tightened my arm around her. You won't. I won't let that happen. She looked up at me. You can't promise that. Maybe not, but I can promise I'll be here whatever comes. She smiled, eyes glistening. That's enough. We stayed until the sun started to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Then we hiked back down, drove home in comfortable silence, and I walked her to her door like I always did. Same time next week? She asked. Yeah, same time. She kissed my cheek, quick and soft. Then she went inside, and I drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. But the next week, everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon when my phone rang. I was in the middle of replacing a filter at a client's house, hands covered in dust. I almost didn't answer, but something made me check the screen. Sarah. I stripped off my gloves and answered. Hey, what's... He was at my office. Her voice was shaking. Derek. He was waiting outside when I came out of a client meeting. He was standing there on the sidewalk, and when I saw him, he smiled. Like this was all some kind of game. My chest tightened. Where are you now? In my car. I'm still in the parking lot. I called the police, but they said the same thing as before. He's not technically violating the restraining order if he's on a public sidewalk. They'll send someone to file a report, but her breath hitched. I don't know what to do. Stay in your car, lock the doors. Is he still there? No. He left when I took out my phone, but he said something before he walked away. What did he say? There was a long pause. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. He said, "You can't hide forever." Anger surged through me, hot and immediate. "I'm coming to you. What's the address?" She gave it to me. A commercial building downtown, about 15 minutes away. I apologized to my client, promised to come back tomorrow, and got in my truck. I found her car in the corner of the lot, engine running. She unlocked the door when she saw me. Her face was pale, eyes red. "I'm sorry, I didn't know who else to call." "You did the right thing." I got in the passenger seat. Did he say anything else? No, just that. Then he walked away, got in his car, and drove off. She gripped the steering wheel. But it's not going to stop. He knows where I work now. He's going to keep showing up, keep pushing until... She stopped, covered her face with her hands. I reached over, gently pulled her hands down. "Look at me." She did. "You're not alone in this. We're going to figure it out." "How?" "The police can't do anything. The restraining order doesn't matter if he's smart about it. And he is smart. He knows exactly how far he can push without getting arrested." I thought for a moment. "Come stay with me for a few days, just until we figure out next steps." She stared at me. "What?" "My house. You can stay in the guest room. It'll give you some distance, some space to think. And if he doesn't know where I live, he can't show up. I can't ask you to..." "You're not asking. I'm offering." Her eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you shouldn't have to go through this alone. Because I have the space and the ability to help. And because..." I paused. "Because I care about you. And I'm not going to let him keep terrorizing you." She broke down then, sobbing. I just sat there, let her cry, kept my hand on her shoulder. When she finally caught her breath, she wiped her face and nodded. "Okay, just for a few days. As long as you need." We drove to her place first so she could pack a bag. I went in with her, checked every room while she gathered clothes and toiletries. Then we went to my house. I showed her the guest room, small but clean, with a decent bed and a window that looked out on the backyard. Bathrooms across the hall. Kitchen's yours to use whenever. Make yourself at home. "Thank you." She set her bag down, looked around. "I feel like I'm intruding." "You're not. I'm glad you're here." That night I made dinner. Spaghetti. Simple and filling. We ate mostly in silence. She picked at her food, distracted. I didn't push conversation. After we cleaned up, she excused herself to the guest room. I heard the door close softly. I stayed up late, double-checking all the locks, making sure the windows were secure. I kept my phone on the nightstand, volume turned all the way up. Around 2 in the morning, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Soft, hesitant. Then a quiet knock on my door. "Yeah? I can't sleep." Her voice was muffled through the door. Every sound. I keep thinking it's him. I got up, opened the door. She was standing there in an oversized t-shirt, arms wrapped around herself. "You want some tea or something?" She shook her head. Can we just sit for a bit? I don't want to be alone." "Of course." We went to the living room. I turned on a lamp, low light. She curled up on one end of the couch and I sat on the other. We didn't talk, just sat there in the quiet. Eventually her breathing slowed, evened out. She fell asleep sitting up. I grabbed a blanket from the closet, draped it over her, and went back to my room. But I didn't sleep much. I kept listening for any sound that didn't belong. The next few days followed a similar pattern. She'd work from my dining room table during the day, laptop open, phone on silent. I'd go to my jobs, but I'd check in constantly. Text her between appointments, call during lunch. She always answered. I'm fine, still working. No sign of him. But I could hear the tension in her voice. The waiting was wearing on her. On the third day, her phone started buzzing, over and over. She looked at the screen, went pale. It's him. He's texting from a new number. What's he saying? She showed me. The messages were vague, not quite threatening, but deeply unsettling. I know you're scared. You don't have to be. We can talk about this. I just want to see you. Why won't you answer? You're making this harder than it needs to be. My jaw clenched. Block the number. He'll just get another one. Then we change your number. Today. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay. We went to the phone store that afternoon, got her a new number. She only gave it to a handful of people. Her clients, her family, Emma, me. For a day, it was quiet. Then on Friday night, there was a knock on my door. I was in the kitchen washing dishes. Sarah was in the living room reading. We both froze. Another knock. Harder this time. Sarah, I know you're in there. Derek's voice. Loud, insistent. Sarah's face went white. She stood up, backing away from the door. I moved quickly, positioning myself between her and the entrance. Stay here. Don't open it. I'm not. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911. I need police at 428 Maple Street. There's a man violating a restraining order, and he's at my door right now. The operator asked me to stay on the line. Derek kept knocking, calling Sarah's name. I just want to talk. Come on, Sarah, you're being ridiculous. I didn't respond, didn't engage, just kept the phone to my ear and waited. Within 5 minutes, I heard sirens. Derek must have heard them too because the knocking stopped. I looked through the window just in time to see him walking quickly down the driveway toward a car parked on the street. 2 patrol cars pulled up. I opened the door, explained the situation. They went after him, but by the time they reached the street, he was gone. They came back, took a report, checked Sarah's restraining order. We'll issue a warrant, one of the officers said. But unless we catch him in the act, it's hard to make an arrest stick. Sarah stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, face drawn. So he just gets to keep doing this. The officer looked sympathetic but helpless. We'll increase patrols in the area, and if he shows up again, call immediately. Don't wait. They left. I closed the door, locked it, turned to Sarah. She was shaking. Hey, come here. She crossed the room and I pulled her into a hug. She clung to me, silent sobs racking her body. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. I can't keep living like this. I know. Maybe I should just leave. Go somewhere else. Change my name. Start over. You shouldn't have to do that. But what's the alternative? Wait until he actually hurts me? I pulled back, looked her in the eyes. The alternative is we fight. We document everything, we get lawyers involved, we make it impossible for him to keep doing this. And until that happens, you stay here, where you're safe. I can't stay here forever. No, but you can stay here until this is over. And I'm not going anywhere. You understand? She searched my face, looking for something, doubt maybe, or hesitation. She didn't find it. Why? She asked, voice breaking. Why are you doing all this? Because you matter. Because what's happening to you is wrong. And because, I hesitated, then said it, because I care about you. More than I've cared about anyone in a long time. Her eyes filled with tears again. I don't want to drag you into this. You're not dragging me. I'm choosing to be here. She leaned her forehead against my chest. I held her, felt her breathing slowly steady. Okay, she whispered. Okay. That night she slept in the guest room, but I heard her wake up twice, heard her pacing the hallway. In the morning, she looked exhausted. Emma called that weekend. I told her what was happening. She was furious. This is insane. What's wrong with the police? Can't they do something? They're trying, but the system's slow. Well, she's lucky she has you. I'm lucky I have her. Emma paused. You really care about her, don't you? Yeah, I do. Good. She needs someone like you. The following week, we met with a lawyer. He was straightforward, no nonsense. Restraining orders are only as good as the person's willingness to follow them, he said. And from what you're telling me, this guy has no intention of stopping. My advice? Document everything. Every text, every sighting, every violation. Build a case. If he escalates, you'll have ammunition for a more serious charge. Stalking, harassment, maybe even criminal threats. How long does that take? Sarah asked. Months. Maybe longer. Her face fell. I reached over, took her hand. "We'll do it," I said. "Whatever it takes." The lawyer nodded. "I'll help however I can. But in the meantime, be careful. Men like this, when they feel like they're losing control, they get desperate. And desperate men do dangerous things." We left the office in silence. Sarah was quiet the whole drive home. "You okay?" I asked. "I'm tired," she said. "I'm so tired of being scared." "I know. And I hate that you're stuck dealing with this. You didn't sign up for this. Neither did you." She looked at me. "I don't know what I'd do without you. You don't have to find out." That night I woke up to the sound of breaking glass. I was out of bed before I was fully awake. Heart pounding, adrenaline flooding my system. The sound had come from downstairs, sharp, unmistakable, breaking glass. I grabbed my phone, moved quickly but quietly to the hallway. Sarah's door was already open. She was standing there in the dark, frozen. "Stay here," I whispered. "Lock the door behind me." "No!" "Sarah, lock the door, call 911, tell them someone's breaking in." Her hands were shaking, but she nodded. I heard the lock click as I moved toward the stairs. I descended slowly, phone flashlight off, letting my eyes adjust to the darkness. The sound had come from the kitchen. As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I could see it. The back window shattered. Glass scattered across the floor, glinting in the moonlight. The back door was still closed, still locked, but the window next to it was gone. I stood there, listening, no footsteps, no movement. Whoever had done this was already gone. I heard sirens in the distance getting closer. Sarah must have called. I moved carefully to the back door, looked out through the broken window. The yard was empty, no movement in the shadows. The police arrived within minutes. 2 officers, the same ones from before. They searched the yard, found a brick in the grass near the house. No note, no message, just destruction. "He's escalating," one of them said grimly. "This is textbook stalking behavior. He's trying to intimidate you, make you feel unsafe." "It's working," Sarah said quietly. She was standing in the kitchen doorway, pale and shaking. They took photos, filed another report, added it to the growing case file. One of them turned to me. "Do you have somewhere else you can stay tonight? Just until we can get patrols increased in this area?" "This is my home," I said. "I'm not leaving." "Sir, I understand, but I'll board up the window, install better security. But I'm not letting him run me out of my own house." The officer nodded slowly. "All right, but be careful, and keep that phone close." After they left, I found plywood in the garage, nailed it over the broken window. It wasn't pretty, but it would hold until morning when I could get it properly fixed. Sarah sat at the kitchen table the whole time, silent, staring at nothing. When I finished, I washed my hands and sat down across from her. "You should go to bed. Try to get some sleep." She laughed, bitter and hollow. "Sleep, right. Sarah, I can't do this to you anymore." Her voice was flat, emptied out. "I can't keep putting you in danger. This is my problem and I need to deal with it myself." "It's not just your problem. Not anymore." "Yes, it is." She looked up at me, eyes red. "You've done more than enough. More than anyone should have to, but this—" She gestured at the boarded window. "This is too much. He broke into your house. He could have hurt you. And next time, he might. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying I should leave. Tonight, I'll find a hotel, figure something out. Maybe I'll go to another city, start over again." "No." She blinked. "What?" "No. You're not leaving. You're not running away again." "I'm not running." "Yes, you are." I leaned forward. "And I get it. I understand why you want to. But running doesn't fix this. He'll just follow you again, find you again, and you'll be right back where you started, except more alone." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Stay, fight. Let people help you. I can't ask you to keep doing this." "You're not asking. I'm choosing." I reached across the table, took her hands in mine. "I'm choosing to be here. I'm choosing to help you through this, and I'm choosing not to let that bastard win." She shook her head. "Why? Why would you choose this?" I took a breath. This was it, the moment I'd been avoiding, the thing I hadn't wanted to admit even to myself. "Because I care about you. Because somewhere along the way, this stopped being about just helping someone in trouble and became about you. Because when I wake up, the first thing I think about is whether you're okay. Because sitting with you, talking with you, just being near you, it's the best part of my day." I squeezed her hands. "Because I spent 3 years sleepwalking through my life. and you woke me up. And I'm not ready to go back to sleep." She was crying fully now, shoulders shaking. "I don't want you to get hurt because of me. I won't. We'll be careful. We'll be smart. But I'm not going anywhere, Sarah. Not unless you tell me to." She looked up at me, searching my face. "You promise?" "I promise. Even if this takes months? Even if he keeps coming back? Even then." She stood up, came around the table and wrapped her arms around me. I held her tight, felt her tears soaking through my shirt. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. Me too. But you're still staying." "I'm still staying." We stood there for a long time, holding each other in the quiet kitchen. Eventually, her breathing steadied. She pulled back just enough to look at me. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't need to. Just let me be here. That's enough." She nodded, wiped her face. "Okay, but we do this together. No more you protecting me while I hide. If we're fighting this, we fight it as a team. Deal." The next morning, I called a security company. By afternoon, they'd installed cameras at every entrance, motion sensors, better locks. I paid for it without hesitation. Sarah tried to protest, but I shut it down. "This is my house, my decision. I'll pay you back. We'll talk about it later." We didn't talk about it later. She started attending a support group for domestic abuse survivors. I drove her to the first meeting, waited in the parking lot. When she came out an hour later, she looked exhausted but lighter somehow. How was it? Hard, but good. It helps to know other people understand. Good. Over the next 2 weeks, we fell into a new rhythm. She stayed in the guest room, but we spent most evenings together. Cooking, talking, watching TV. Sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. The fear was still there. I could see it in the way she checked the cameras constantly, the way she startled at unexpected sounds. But slowly, gradually, I watched her start to relax. Derek didn't come back to the house, but he sent flowers to her work. No card, but she knew they were from him. She threw them in the trash and called the police. Another report filed. Another piece of evidence. "It's working," the lawyer said when we met with him again. "The case is building. If he violates one more time, we can push for actual jail time." "How long?" Sarah asked. "Hard to say, but we're getting close." That night, Sarah cooked dinner. It was the first time she'd really taken over the kitchen, and I could tell it meant something to her. Reclaiming small pieces of normalcy. We ate on the back porch, the window long since repaired, watching the sun set over the yard. "I've been thinking," she said. "Yeah? About what happens when this is over, when he's finally gone." I turned to look at her. "What about it?" "I think I want to stay here in this town." She paused. "Near you." My chest tightened. Yeah, if that's okay." "More than okay." She smiled. The first real, unguarded smile I'd seen in weeks. "Good, because I'm not ready to leave. Not anymore." "Me neither." She reached over, took my hand. We sat there as the sky turned from gold to purple to dark, our hands intertwined, neither of us saying anything. We didn't need to. A week later, Derek was arrested. He'd shown up at Sarah's old office in Portland, violating the restraining order there. Between that and all the documentation from here, there was finally enough for charges that would stick. Stalking, harassment, criminal threats. He'd be in jail for at least 6 months, probably longer. When Sarah got the call from the lawyer, she didn't celebrate. She just sat down on the couch and cried. Not from fear this time, but from relief. "It's over," she whispered. "It's actually over." I sat next to her, pulled her close. "It's over. I can go home, back to my house. Whenever you're ready." She looked up at me. "I'm not ready yet." "Is that okay? Stay as long as you want." "What if I want to stay a really long time?" I smiled. "Then stay a really long time." She laughed, soft and tearful. "Okay." That night we sat on the couch together, her head on my shoulder, and watched some mindless movie neither of us paid attention to. The fear was gone. The waiting was over. And for the first time since we'd met, the future felt like something other than a threat. It felt like possibility. 6 months later, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the bedroom window and the smell of coffee drifting up from downstairs. I lay there for a moment listening. The soft clink of mugs, the quiet hum of the radio, the sound of someone else moving through the house, not an intruder, not a threat. Just Sarah making breakfast. I still wasn't entirely used to it. The presence, the ease, the way my house had stopped feeling empty. I got up, pulled on a t-shirt, and headed downstairs. She was standing at the stove, scrambling eggs, wearing one of my old flannels over her pajamas. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked relaxed, peaceful. "Morning," I said. She turned, smiled. "Morning. Coffee's ready." I poured myself a cup, leaned against the counter. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep, too excited." "About what?" "I got an email last night, that big client I pitched last month. They said yes, full contract, 6-month project." I grinned. "That's great. I told you they'd go for it." "You did." She plated the eggs, handed me one. "How'd you sleep?" "Good. You?" "Better than I have in years." We ate at the kitchen table, same spot where we'd had so many meals over the past months. The dynamic had shifted so gradually, I almost hadn't noticed. At some point, she'd stopped being a guest and started being home. She'd officially moved back into her own house about 3 months ago, but she was here more often than not. Most of her clothes were in my closet. Her toothbrush was in the bathroom. Her books were stacked on the nightstand next to mine. We hadn't talked about what that meant, hadn't put a label on it. We'd just let it be. Derek was still in jail. The trial had gone quickly. He'd taken a plea deal to avoid a longer sentence, 18 months with the possibility of parole after 12. The restraining order was extended, stricter terms added, and Sarah had started the process of legally changing some of her information, making it harder for him to find her when he got out. But that was a future problem. Right now, in this moment, she was safe, and she was here. After breakfast, I headed out to work. A standard Tuesday. 3 jobs lined up, all routine maintenance. Sarah kissed me on the cheek before I left, told me to be careful. It was such a normal gesture, such a small thing, but it made me smile the whole drive to my first appointment. By the time I finished my last job, it was late afternoon. My phone buzzed as I was loading tools back into the truck. "Dinner at my place tonight? I'm trying a new recipe." I typed back, "Sounds good. Need me to pick anything up? Just yourself." I stopped by the store anyway, grabbed a bottle of wine and flowers. When I got to her house, the small rental on the east side that she'd slowly transformed into something that felt like hers, she opened the door with flour on her cheek and an apron tied around her waist. "You didn't have to bring anything. I wanted to." She took the flowers, smiled in that way that still made my chest tighten. "Come in. I'm almost done." The house smelled incredible. Garlic, herbs, something baking. I set the wine on the counter, washed my hands, and leaned against the doorway watching her work. She'd changed so much since that day in the café. The tension was gone from her shoulders. The constant vigilance had faded. She laughed more, slept better, moved through the world without looking over her shoulder every 5 seconds. And I'd changed too. The loneliness that had defined my life for so long had been replaced by something I didn't quite have words for. Connection, maybe. Purpose. The knowledge that I mattered to someone, and they mattered to me. We ate dinner on her back porch, the evening warm and quiet. She told me about her day, about the new project, about the ideas she was already brainstorming. I told her about the weird AC unit I'd fixed, the client who insisted they'd done nothing wrong, even though they'd clearly tried to repair it themselves with duct tape. She laughed, shook her head. People are so stubborn. Says the woman who tried to assemble an entire bookshelf without reading the instructions. That was one time. It fell apart twice. It's still standing, isn't it? I looked over at the bookshelf in question, currently leaning slightly to the left against the living room wall. Barely. She threw a napkin at me. I caught it, grinning. After dinner, we cleaned up together. She washed, I dried. Another small routine we'd fallen into, easy and comfortable. When we finished, she made tea and we sat on the couch. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." She hesitated, running her finger around the rim of her mug. "What do you think about the future, like long-term future? What about it?" "I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering where you see yourself in a year, 5 years, if anything's going to change." I thought about it. A year ago, I would have said I'd be exactly where I was. Same job, same house, same lonely routine. But now, honestly, I don't know exactly, but I know I want you in it, however that looks. She looked at me, something vulnerable in her expression. "You mean that?" "Yeah, I do. I don't want to rush anything," she said carefully. "I'm still figuring out who I am outside of everything that happened, but I also don't want to pretend like this," she gestured between us, "isn't important to me. Because it is. You are. You're important to me too. So we just keep doing this? Taking it one day at a time? If that works for you, it works for me. She smiled, set her mug down and moved closer. I put my arm around her and she curled into my side. We stayed like that, not talking, just being together. The TV was on, some show neither of us was watching. Outside, the evening faded into night. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For not leaving. For staying even when it got hard. You don't have to thank me for that. I know, but I want to. I kissed the top of her head. You're welcome. A few weeks later, Emma invited us both to a barbecue. It was the first time we'd really gone somewhere together as, whatever we were, a couple, I guess. Though we still hadn't used that word. Emma hugged Sarah like they'd been friends for years. I'm so glad you're here, both of you. Thanks for inviting us. Of course, you're family now. I caught Sarah's eye. She smiled. We spent the afternoon with Emma and her husband, with their friends, with people who treated us like we'd always been part of the group. Sarah fit in easily, laughing and talking completely at ease. Watching her like that, happy, unburdened, I felt something settle in my chest, a kind of contentment I'd never expected to find. On the drive home, she reached over and took my hand. That was nice. Yeah, it was. Your sister really loves you, you know. I know. She told me she's never seen you this happy. I glanced at her. Yeah? Yeah. She squeezed my hand. She said whatever I did, I should keep doing it. You didn't do anything. You just showed up. So did you. We drove the rest of the way in comfortable silence, hands intertwined. When we got back to my place, because somehow, without discussing it, we always ended up back at my place, she turned to me before getting out of the truck. I think I'm going to look for a new place. Something bigger. Maybe closer to here. My heart skipped. Yeah? Yeah, my lease is up in 2 months anyway, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm ready for something new. A fresh start. For real this time. I nodded slowly. That makes sense. She bit her lip. Or I could just move in here. With you. She said it quickly, like she was afraid she'd lose her nerve. If you want, no pressure. I just thought since I'm here most of the time anyway, but if it's too soon or if you want your space. I kissed her. Not hesitant. Not careful. Just kissed her because it was the only response that made sense. When I pulled back, she was smiling. Is that a yes? That's a yes. She laughed, relief and joy mixed together. Okay, good. Because I already started packing. Of course you did. I wanted to be prepared, just in case. I pulled her close, rested my forehead against hers. You're staying. I'm staying. And she did. It took 3 weekends to move all her stuff. Not that she had much. She'd left most of her life behind when she'd fled Portland. But what she had, she brought here. And slowly, the house transformed. Her books next to mine on the shelves, her plants in the windows, her photos on the walls. It didn't feel like an intrusion. It felt like the house was finally complete. We settled into a rhythm. Mornings with coffee, evenings with dinner, weekends with small projects, fixing the fence, painting the guest room, planting flowers in the front yard. Nothing extraordinary, nothing dramatic, just life, quiet, steady, shared. One night, about a year after we'd first met, we were sitting on the back porch, the same spot where we'd sat so many times before. The air was cool, early autumn settling in. She was reading. I was just sitting, looking out at the yard. Hey, she said, setting her book down. Yeah? I'm happy. I looked at her. Yeah? Yeah. I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again. Safe. Settled. Like I actually have a future worth looking forward to. She reached for my hand. Thank you for that. You did the hard part. I just stuck around. You did more than that. You gave me a place to land. A place to heal. She smiled. You gave me home. I squeezed her hand. You gave me one too. We sat there as the sun set, as the sky turned dark and stars appeared one by one. Eventually, we went inside, locked the doors, turned off the lights, went to bed together, and in the morning, we'd wake up and do it all again. Because that's what love is, I'd learned. Not the big moments, not the dramatic rescues. It's the small things. The daily choice to stay, to build something together, one ordinary day at a time. And I'd choose this, choose her, every single day.